Your voice has power. Now it's time to use it. You've felt it for years, this sense that your voice matters, but you've never fully known how to use it. You've had ideas worth sharing but lacked the confidence to express them. You've had moments where you wanted to speak up, but something inside held you back. You've had conversations where you wished you could have said things more clearly, more powerfully, more like the person you know you're capable of being. And deep down, you've always known your voice could change something if only you knew how to use it right. That's the quiet frustration you've carried. Not that you have nothing to say, but that you haven't learned how to speak in a way that moves people. But hear this clearly. Your voice is not small. Your message is not insignificant. Your presence is not forgettable. You just haven't been taught how to unlock its power yet. There is a version of you who speaks with confidence and calm, who commands attention without raising their voice, who expresses ideas with clarity and authority, who communicates with the kind of influence that stays in people's minds long after the conversation ends. That version of you is real. They're already inside you. And this audiobook is how you bring them out. Most people never learn how to speak powerfully. They live their whole lives hoping to be heard instead of learning how to make their words impossible to ignore. But you're here, which means your transformation into a smart, strategic, unforgettable communicator begins now. Let's begin. Communication is not about saying more. It's about saying what matters. Powerful speaking is not a talent reserved for a few. It's a psychological skill anyone can learn. In this audiobook, you'll discover the hidden mechanics behind communication that influences, persuades, and connects. You'll learn why most people talk without impact, why their words get ignored, and why conversations often lead to confusion or conflict instead of clarity. You'll dive into the science of human perception, how tone shapes trust, how structure shapes understanding, how presence shapes influence, and how psychology shapes every word you speak before it ever reaches the listener's mind. This is not about sounding perfect. It's about communicating with intention. It's about learning how to speak in a way that makes people listen, respect, and respond. By the end of this audiobook, you won't just know how to communicate. You'll know how to influence environments, shape conversations, and become the kind of speaker whose words don't just get heard, they create impact. Your voice has power. Now it's time to master it. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Powerful Communication. Welcome to Chapter 1 of Smart Communication Mastery, the Psychology of Powerful Speaking. Before we dive into techniques, frameworks, and strategies, let's take a moment to understand the foundation of all powerful communication. Because here's the truth, most people speak. Few truly influence. Many talk. Very few move minds, hearts, and decisions. Why is that? Because influence is more than words. Influence is the combination of clarity, confidence, emotional resonance, and purposeful intent. It's how you think, how you feel, and how you act when you speak. Picture this. Two people enter a room. One speaks with a shaky voice, hands fidgeting, eyes darting nervously. The other walks in with steady steps, shoulders back, eyes meeting yours with calm assurance. The same words could come out of both their mouths, but who do you trust more? Who feels more authoritative? Who would you follow? Influence is as silent as it is verbal. It's subtle, psychological, and measurable. And in this chapter, we're going to lay the foundation that every powerful communicator builds upon. Think about the last time someone really moved you with their words. It might have been a speaker, a friend, a mentor, or even a stranger. chances are they didn't just speak, they connected. They made you feel, think, and imagine. They didn't just talk at you, they guided your mind. That's what we're going to focus on, learning to guide thoughts, influence decisions, and create impact. To start, there are 4 pillars you must understand: clarity, confidence, emotional resonance, and strategic intent. Clarity means ensuring your message is understood without confusion. Confidence means projecting authority so your words carry weight. Emotional resonance means speaking to the heart, not just the mind. Strategic intent means knowing exactly why you're saying what you're saying. These pillars are not abstract concepts. They are actionable, they are trainable. And by mastering them, you lay the groundwork for every other technique we'll cover. Let's break them down. First, clarity be understood. Clarity is the foundation. Without it, even the most compelling message falls flat. When you speak, every word must serve a purpose. Every sentence should guide the listener toward understanding. Imagine telling someone how to achieve success in life. You could ramble, throw out ideas, and confuse them with abstract terms. Or you could be clear, simple, direct, and focused. Clarity comes from structure. Begin with an introduction that frames your message. Lead to the core idea. Finish with a takeaway that sticks. Here's an exercise. Think of a concept you want to teach. Explain it in a single sentence that conveys the entire idea. Then expand it into a short 3-minute explanation. Keep it logical, keep it clean, keep it clear. Clarity is not just verbal. Your gestures, tone, and pauses must reinforce it. If your body says one thing but your words say another, your clarity is lost. Next, confidence. Speak with authority. Confidence is often perceived before competence. If you hesitate, fumble over words, or avoid eye contact, people doubt your message even if it's brilliant. Confidence is not arrogance. It's calm, steady authority. You can cultivate it through preparation and presence. Stand tall. Speak at a controlled pace. Use deliberate gestures. Avoid filler words. Practice speaking aloud. Record yourself. Watch how your posture, tone, and rhythm influence perception. Here's an experiment. Deliver a 2-minute explanation on a topic you know well. Record it. Play it back. Notice the moments where your confidence wavers. Correct them. Repeat this daily and watch how your presence grows. Then, emotional resonance. Connect before you convince. Humans respond to emotion first and logic second. You can present the best data in the world, but if the audience doesn't feel it, they won't remember it. The key is connection. Share relatable stories. Show empathy. Choose words that trigger feelings: hope, curiosity, urgency, aspiration. Instead of saying teamwork is important, you might say, imagine a team where everyone understands each other perfectly, working seamlessly. You feel the satisfaction of achieving goals together. That's the power of effective communication. Think of a small story from your life that illustrates a principle you want to teach. Tell it aloud. Feel the emotion yourself. Your audience will feel it too. Finally, strategic intent. Speak with purpose. Every word you speak should have intent. Ask yourself, why am I saying this? What do I want my audience to think, feel, or do? When your communication has purpose, it becomes persuasive. Even casual conversations benefit from strategic intent. If you simply talk, people may listen. If you guide their thinking intentionally, they are far more likely to act. Before each important conversation, write a one-line goal. Anchor your words around that goal. Watch how your influence increases. There is also a secret weapon most people overlook: active listening. Communication is not just talking, it's listening. Truly effective communicators listen actively. They hear words, observe tone, and read body language. They pick up on motivations, objections, and emotions the speaker may not even realize they're showing. Paraphrase what you hear. Ask open-ended questions. Observe subtle shifts in expression. Respond based on understanding, not assumptions. In your next conversation, focus entirely on listening. Take mental notes on what's said and what's implied. Respond deliberately. Notice how the dynamic changes. Adaptability is just as important. No one message fits every audience. Adapt your style to the people in front of you. Consider their knowledge level, emotional state, and context. What works with colleagues may not work with friends. What works in a small meeting may fail on a stage. Think back to a recent presentation or important conversation. How could you have adapted your language, tone, or examples to be more engaging and relevant? Make those adjustments next time. Storytelling is another foundational skill. Humans are wired for stories. Facts are often forgotten, but stories are remembered. Even at this level, learn to craft simple stories with a character, a conflict, a solution, and a takeaway. Recall a personal challenge. Frame it as a short story with a beginning, a struggle, and a resolution. Emphasize what you learned and practice delivering it naturally. And remember nonverbal alignment. Your body and your words must match. Your posture, gestures, facial expressions, and tone all speak before your words do. Record yourself explaining a concept. Watch your gestures, tone, and expressions. Align them with your message. Practice until it feels natural. To build a solid foundation, practice daily. Explain one idea clearly for 3 minutes. Record yourself and focus on improving your confidence. Share a short, emotionally engaging story. Set a goal for every important conversation. Listen actively and respond deliberately. Adapt your language to fit the person or group you're speaking to. Observe whether your body language matches your words. Consistency here compounds. Small improvements made daily lead to true mastery over time. Take a moment to reflect. Which foundational principles do you already use well? Which ones require consistent practice? How will you integrate clarity, confidence, and emotional resonance into your daily interactions? How will strategic intent transform your conversations? And how will mastering these foundations change how others perceive you? These reflections set the stage for the advanced communication techniques you'll learn in the upcoming chapters. If this audiobook is bringing you value so far, make sure to subscribe. It helps us create more content like this for you. Now, let's continue. Chapter 2. The Psychology Behind Persuasion and Influence. Welcome to Chapter 2. If Chapter 1 was about building the foundation of powerful communication, this chapter is about understanding the mind you are communicating with. Influence is not magic, it's psychology. Every decision, every reaction, every subtle shift in behavior is rooted in how humans think and feel. Before you can persuade, you must understand why people think the way they do, how they process information, and what drives their choices. In this chapter, you'll explore cognitive biases, emotional triggers, social proof, reciprocity, and the underlying principles that allow you to influence naturally and ethically. Imagine you are giving a presentation. You've structured your message well. Your words are clear. Your posture is confident, yet halfway through the room disengages. People stop listening. Some check their phones. What went wrong? The missing piece is psychology. You didn't account for how the audience thinks, feels, or reacts. Influence is not about what you want them to hear. It's about what their mind is ready to absorb. Humans are not purely rational calculators. Decisions are often emotional first and rational second. Understanding this is the key to mastering persuasion. Let's break the psychology of influence into actionable principles. First, the role of cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts our brains use to process information quickly. They affect judgments, decisions, and behavior, often unconsciously. As a communicator, understanding these biases allows you to craft messages that resonate naturally. Consider confirmation bias. People favor information that confirms their existing beliefs. If you frame your message so it aligns with your audience's values, it lands more smoothly. You might say, as someone who values efficiency, you'll appreciate this method because it saves time and reduces errors. The recency effect means people remember the last points they hear best, so place your strongest message near the end. Anchoring means people rely heavily on the first piece of information they receive, so open with a strong, compelling idea to set the tone. Social proof bias means that when people are uncertain, they look to others for guidance. Sharing testimonials, statistics, or examples of others who have succeeded using your approach leverages this bias. Notice one cognitive bias you see around you today and experiment with incorporating it into a short, persuasive message. Next, understand that emotional triggers drive decisions. Logic alone rarely convinces. Emotion drives action. When you understand which emotions motivate your audience, you can craft messages that inspire and move them. Fear might sound like, if you don't act now, you risk missing this opportunity. Hope might sound like, imagine a future where this problem no longer exists. Belonging might sound like, join a group of like-minded achievers who are already using this. Aspiration might sound like, you have the potential to be extraordinary. Take your main message and ask yourself, which emotion is most likely to motivate my audience? Then reframe your delivery to evoke that emotion. Next, reciprocity, the give and take. Humans are wired to reciprocate. When you give something first, value, insight, or assistance, people naturally feel more open to giving back. This builds engagement, cooperation, and trust. You might share a useful strategy and say, here's a method that worked for me. I hope it helps you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. In your next interaction, offer value first and observe how it changes the response. Authority is another powerful principle. People naturally follow perceived authority. Establishing credibility increases your influence dramatically. Authority is conveyed through knowledge, experience, and the way you communicate. You can build authority by referencing your experience or results without boasting, citing credible sources or data, and speaking with clarity and composure. Craft a brief introduction that highlights your expertise in a natural, grounded way. Practice delivering it with calm authority. Consistency is also key. Humans value consistency between what they say and what they do. Once someone commits to a belief or action, they tend to stay aligned with it. This is the basis of the foot in the door technique. Small commitments lead to larger ones. You might start with a small question like, do you agree that communication is important? Once they say yes, you can build. Let's explore how mastering persuasive techniques can completely transform your influence. Try a two-step approach in your next important conversation. Secure agreement on a small point, then gently guide toward a larger action. Social proof amplifies all of this. People look to others for cues on what to believe or do. Highlighting that others are already engaging with your ideas builds trust. You might say, thousands of professionals have adopted this method and seen remarkable results, and then share a brief story or example that supports it. Gather one or two examples of social proof, a quote, a result, or a story, and integrate them into your messaging. Scarcity is another psychological driver. People value what is rare or limited. Scarcity increases desire and urgency. You can ethically use this by highlighting opportunities that are time-sensitive or exclusive without exaggeration. You might say, this method is part of a limited workshop series, or enrollment closes this week. In your next pitch or presentation, identify a genuine scarcity element and express it clearly. Finally, consider the psychology of attention. Attention is the gateway to influence. If you don't capture it, persuasion fails. Humans are naturally distracted, so hooks, pauses, storytelling, and curiosity triggers are essential. Open with a question or a provocative statement. Use stories and examples to illustrate your concepts. Vary your tone, pace, and gestures to maintain engagement. Craft a 30-second opening that uses curiosity, emotion, or story to grab attention immediately. To integrate these psychological principles, practice them daily. Notice cognitive biases in real conversations. Frame one message each day to evoke a specific emotion. Offer value first and observe reciprocity. Speak in a way that quietly establishes your credibility. Use small commitments to build toward larger actions. Mention examples of others who have benefited from your ideas. Highlight genuine scarcity when it exists. Open your conversations or presentations with a hook that commands attention. Now, take a moment to reflect. Which psychological principles can you leverage immediately? How can you use emotion to influence without manipulation? Which biases are most common in your audience? How can you build authority and trust more effectively? And what strategies will you practice daily so that these principles become natural? Psychology is the engine behind persuasion. Understanding it is the difference between simply talking and truly moving people to act. Chapter 3. Advanced Speaking Techniques. Welcome to Chapter 3. Now that you've established the foundation of communication and explored the psychology behind persuasion, it's time to move into advanced speaking techniques. These are the skills that separate ordinary speakers from those who truly influence, inspire, and leave a lasting impression. Advanced speaking is not about flashy words or dramatic gestures. It's about precision, timing, emotional control, and strategic delivery. Every pause, every inflection, every choice of word becomes a tool for influence. By the end of this chapter, you'll understand how to speak with clarity, impact, and authority, and how to practice these skills until they become second nature. Imagine listening to two speakers delivering the same message. One is monotone, hesitant, and unsure of their words. The other speaks with rhythm, emphasis, and deliberate pauses. Who do you remember? Who do you trust? Advanced speaking is about turning your message into an experience. When done right, your audience doesn't just hear your words, they feel them, internalize them, and act on them. Let's look at the key techniques for advanced speaking. First, vocal control, mastering tone, pace, and inflection. Your voice is your primary instrument. How you deliver a word can be more powerful than the word itself. Use tone to convey emotion. A serious topic calls for calm authority. A motivational point calls for warmth and energy. Use pace intentionally. Speaking quickly can create excitement or urgency. Speaking slowly can create gravity and focus. Use inflection to avoid monotony and signal importance. Rising intonation can spark curiosity. Falling intonation can convey certainty and authority. Take a short 2-minute speech and practice delivering it 3 different ways: fast and energetic, slow and deliberate, and with varied pitch and pauses. Notice how the message feels different each time. Next, the power of the pause. Pauses are one of the most underrated tools in speaking. A well-placed pause gives your audience time to process information. It adds emphasis to key points. It creates anticipation. It deepens emotional impact. Instead of rushing through a line, you might say, "Success comes to those who persist," allowing silence to carry the weight of the idea. Find 5 key statements in a speech or message you use often. Insert pauses before and after those lines. Record yourself and listen to how the meaning is amplified. Rhythm and cadence are equally important. Think of your speech as music. Rhythm makes messages memorable and guides the listener's attention. Short sentences emphasize key ideas. Longer sentences build context or narrative. Mixing both creates a natural, engaging flow. Take a paragraph you've written. Rewrite it so that some lines are short and punchy, while others are longer and more descriptive. Then practice delivering it aloud, listening to the rhythm of your words. Next, painful clarity, cutting the fillers. Filler words like like, and dilute your authority. They signal hesitation or lack of preparation. Record yourself speaking for 1 minute on any topic. Listen back and note the fillers you use most often. Practice replacing them with silence or intentional pauses. You'll instantly sound more confident and composed. Storytelling is an advanced technique as well as a foundational one. Use stories to illustrate complicated ideas, evoke emotion, and make your message memorable. A strong story has a hook, a challenge, a resolution, and a clear takeaway tied to your core point. Write a short 3-minute story based on a real experience. Then practice delivering it using vocal variety, pauses, and emphasis. Notice how it feels both to tell it and to imagine hearing it. Language choice matters too. Advanced speakers choose words deliberately. They prefer active over passive phrasing. They use power words like transform, unlock, master, and proven when appropriate. They use sensory words that evoke sight, sound, and feeling to make their ideas vivid. Take part of a speech or explanation you often give and rewrite it using more active phrasing and a few well-chosen power or sensory words. Read it aloud and feel the difference. Body language is also part of advanced speaking, what your audience hears without you saying a word. Your posture, gestures, and facial expressions must align with your message. Stand tall. Use your hands to emphasize key ideas. Let your face reflect the emotion of your words. Maintain meaningful eye contact. Deliver a short speech in front of a mirror. Watch how your body moves. Adjust your posture and gestures so they reinforce your message instead of distracting from it. Finally, think about engagement techniques. Advanced speakers don't just talk at people, they involve them. Use rhetorical questions. Address the listener directly with phrases like, "Imagine yourself," or "Have you ever noticed?" Give short reflection prompts or mental exercises. Pause and let the audience think. In your next prepared talk, include at least 3 engagement elements, questions, prompts, or imagine this moments, and notice how differently people respond. To integrate these techniques, build daily speaking practices. Read aloud every day, varying your tone, pace, and inflection. Practice adding and holding pauses for emphasis. Rewrite and deliver paragraphs with intentional rhythm. Record yourself and work on removing fillers. Tell one short story each day with conscious delivery. Adjust your word choice to be more powerful and precise. Align your body language with your words. Include engagement techniques in everyday conversations. Take a moment to reflect. Which speaking techniques already feel natural? Which ones feel challenging but exciting to develop? How can you combine vocal control, nonverbal communication, and storytelling in every message? What small daily actions will accelerate your mastery? And how will mastering these techniques change the way others perceive your authority and credibility? Advanced speaking is both an art and a skill. It grows through daily attention, experimentation, and refinement. If this audiobook is bringing you value so far, make sure to subscribe. It helps us create more content like this for you. Now, let's continue. Chapter 4. Persuasive Body Language and Nonverbal Communication. Welcome to Chapter 4. By now, you understand the foundations of communication, the psychology behind persuasion, and advanced speaking techniques. But there's one critical element many speakers overlook: body language and nonverbal communication. Your words can be brilliant, your voice captivating, and your stories compelling. But if your body signals uncertainty, hesitation, or discomfort, your message loses power. Nonverbal communication often speaks louder than words. In this chapter, you'll explore how to master posture, gestures, facial expressions, eye contact, and subtle cues so you can become a communicator who not only speaks but moves and inspires through presence. Consider this: 2 leaders give the same speech. One stands slouched, arms crossed, eyes downcast. The other stands tall, gestures naturally, and makes steady eye contact. Even before a word is spoken, the second leader communicates authority, confidence, and credibility. Nonverbal communication is not optional. It is the invisible framework that supports every word you speak. Mastering it will dramatically increase your influence and presence. Let's look at the core principles of nonverbal communication. First, posture, the foundation of presence. Posture communicates confidence even before you speak. Stand tall, shoulders back, chin slightly lifted, feet planted firmly on the ground. A strong stance with your feet about shoulder width apart and your hands relaxed at your sides signals strength and confidence. Slouching signals doubt, fatigue, or disinterest. Movement matters too. Walk with purpose. Every step should convey direction and intent. Practice standing in front of a mirror. Adjust your posture until you feel both confident and natural. Record yourself walking and speaking. Notice how your presence changes. Next, hand gestures reinforcing your message. Gestures are more than embellishments. They clarify, emphasize, and guide attention. Open palms signal honesty and transparency. Deliberate gestures, rather than random fidgeting, reinforce your key points. You can use your hands to show size, movement, or direction when explaining concepts. Deliver a short message and intentionally incorporate a few clear, purposeful gestures. Notice how your meaning becomes easier to follow. Facial expressions also convey emotion and intent. Your face is a mirror of your mind. Expressions show confidence, warmth, seriousness, or excitement. A genuine smile builds trust and rapport. A focused expression signals importance. Matching your facial expressions to your message helps the listener feel what you're saying. Record yourself delivering a 2-minute segment and vary your facial expressions to match the emotional content. Watch how it changes the experience. Eye contact is another powerful tool. Direct eye contact builds trust, conveys confidence, and holds attention. In a group, scan the audience and make brief contact with individuals rather than staring at a single spot. Avoid looking down or away when making key points. Practice delivering a message to someone while maintaining natural, consistent eye contact. Notice how it strengthens the sense of connection and authority. You can also become more aware of micro-expressions, those small, quick facial movements that reveal true emotion. Learning to notice subtle changes around the eyes, eyebrows, and mouth helps you read how your audience is responding. Confusion, skepticism, or disengagement often appears on the face before any words are spoken. Watch short videos of people speaking and pause at random moments. Observe their micro-expressions. Practice interpreting what they might be feeling, and use this awareness to adjust your own delivery in live situations. Another principle is proxemics, how you use space. The distance between you and your audience communicates confidence and respect. Moving slightly closer can create connection. Stepping back can give space and signal openness. In larger spaces, using the stage or room intentionally helps draw attention and emphasize points. Experiment with where you stand and how you move in a room while speaking. Notice how different distances and positions affect the feeling of the interaction. Mirroring is a subtle way to build rapport. When done naturally, mirroring means gently matching the posture, energy, or tone of the person you're speaking with. People tend to feel more comfortable with those who feel similar to them. In a conversation, notice the other person's posture and pace. Slightly reflect it without copying. Notice how it affects the flow and connection of the interaction. Finally, breathing and vocal presence tie everything together. Your breath controls your voice, posture, and emotional state. Breathing deeply from your diaphragm supports a strong, steady voice and keeps your body relaxed. Focusing on slow, controlled breathing reduces nerves and helps you stay grounded. Practice speaking while inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. Feel how your voice stabilizes and your presence becomes calmer and more assured. To integrate persuasive body language, practice daily. Spend a few minutes each day standing in a strong, grounded posture while speaking. Use deliberate hand gestures in everyday conversations. Practice matching your facial expressions to the emotion of your message. Maintain intentional eye contact when you speak. Observe subtle facial cues in others and adjust your response. Experiment with how you use space when you present or speak. Gently mirror others' body language to build rapport. Practice deep, steady breathing while talking. Reflect for a moment on your nonverbal communication. Which aspects of body language do you naturally use well? Which ones need attention and practice? How can your posture, gestures, and eye contact amplify your spoken message? How will mastering nonverbal cues change how others perceive your authority? And how can you practice daily so these behaviors become instinctive? Remember, words influence the mind. Nonverbal cues influence the heart, perception, and subconscious trust. Master both, and your presence becomes powerfully persuasive. Chapter 5. Persuasive Language and Influence Techniques. Welcome to Chapter 5. By now, you've built a strong foundation. You understand communication principles, the psychology behind persuasion, advanced speaking techniques, and nonverbal mastery. In this chapter, the focus is on language, the words themselves, and how to use them to influence, persuade, and inspire. Language is not just a medium, it is the vehicle of influence. The right words framed strategically can shift thoughts, evoke emotions, and guide decisions. Imagine two people trying to inspire action. One says, "Try this method, it might help." The other says, "Implement this proven method today and you'll unlock results you never thought possible." Both express a similar idea, but the second statement compels, convinces, and excites. That's the power of language. Let's break down the core principles of persuasive language. First, power words, words that evoke emotion and action. Power words carry emotional weight, urgency, or authority. They trigger psychological responses that make your message more memorable. Action words like unlock, transform, achieve, and master. Emotional words like fear, hope, desire, love, and courage. Exclusivity words like secret, proven, guaranteed, and limited. Take a paragraph of something you plan to say. Replace neutral words with power words where appropriate. Read it aloud and feel the difference in impact. Next, framing, shaping perception. Framing is how you present an idea so that it's interpreted a certain way. The same fact can feel positive or negative depending on the frame. If you don't act, you might fail focuses on loss and fear. Act now to secure success and avoid missed opportunities, focuses on gain and possibility. Take 3 statements you often use and reframe each one positively while staying truthful. Notice how the emotional tone shifts. Rhetorical devices make language memorable. Repetition reinforces key ideas, persistence, patience, progress. Alliteration adds musicality, confidence, clarity, and courage. Metaphor makes abstract ideas relatable. Your mind is a garden, what you plant grows. Contrast highlights choice. You can remain passive or you can take control and thrive. Choose one key message and enhance it with one rhetorical device. Say it aloud and feel how it lands. Questions are another powerful tool. They engage and guide thinking. Rhetorical questions like, "What would your life look like if you mastered this skill?" Open-ended questions like, "How could you apply this principle today?" Hypothetical questions like, "Imagine a future where every decision you make is deliberate and impactful." Add a few well-placed questions to your next talk or conversation. Emphasize them and allow a moment for the listener to reflect. Storytelling, when used strategically, amplifies influence. Introduce a relatable character, present a clear challenge, show the transformation or resolution, and connect the story directly to your message. Craft a short story around a real moment in your life. Practice delivering it with emotion and clarity. Notice how it strengthens your point compared to a simple explanation. Simplicity is also critical. Powerful communication doesn't hide behind jargon or complexity. It makes difficult ideas feel clear and accessible. Simple language increases comprehension and reduces misinterpretation. Take a complex idea and challenge yourself to explain it in one clear sentence. Practice saying it until it feels natural. Repetition reinforces what matters most. Don't be afraid to repeat your core points. Introduce a key idea early. Illustrate it with a story or example. Then repeat it in your conclusion with slightly different words. Identify the 3 main points in your speech or message. Find multiple moments to restate them in different ways so they stay with your listener. Finally, calls to action guide behavior. Persuasive language leads somewhere. A strong call to action is specific, urgent, and tied to a clear benefit. Start applying this technique today in your next conversation. Don't wait, your opportunity to improve begins now. Implement this method and watch your results shift this week. Craft a clear call to action for your next conversation, presentation, or piece of content. Practice delivering it with conviction and a purposeful pause afterward. To master persuasive language, practice daily. Rewrite ordinary sentences using power words. Reframe negative or neutral statements into positive, motivating ones. Use repetition, alliteration, or metaphors in short messages. Include strategic questions in your conversations. Tell at least one short, purposeful story each day. Explain complex ideas in simple, clear language. Repeat your key points throughout your talks. End with a direct, compelling call to action. Reflect for a moment on your use of language. Which techniques already feel natural and which will you need to practice deliberately? How can you evoke emotion and inspire action with words alone? How can framing, repetition, and rhetorical devices reinforce your message? How can you integrate storytelling and calls to action so they feel seamless rather than forced? Language is the most direct path to influence. When you master it, your words consistently move, persuade, and inspire. If this audiobook is bringing you value so far, make sure to subscribe. It helps us create more content like this for you. Now, let's continue. Chapter 6. Closing Insights and Mastery Summary. Welcome to Chapter 6, the final chapter of this audiobook. Over the past chapters, you've learned the foundations of communication, the psychology behind persuasion, advanced speaking techniques, nonverbal mastery, and the strategic use of persuasive language. You now hold the tools to transform ordinary speech into communication that commands attention, inspires action, and leaves a lasting impact. In this final chapter, we'll consolidate these lessons, share closing insights, and give you a framework for ongoing mastery. Imagine a room full of people. You enter and begin speaking. Every word, gesture, and pause is deliberate. Your presence commands attention. Your words influence thought. Your stories evoke emotion. You are not just talking, you are creating change. This is not fantasy. It is the result of understanding communication as a system of psychology, language, and presence, and applying it daily until it becomes instinctive. Mastery is not a destination, it's a process. Every conversation, presentation, or casual interaction is an opportunity to practice, refine, and elevate your influence. Let's integrate everything you've learned into a practical framework. First, the foundation, self-confidence, and clarity. Everything begins with you. Confidence, self-awareness, and clarity of thought create the platform from which all influence emerges. Believe in the value of your message. Doubt erodes authority. Know your purpose, your main points, and the outcome you want. Stay authentic. People sense when you're genuine. Your message must align with your values and intentions. Write down your core message in one sentence. Revisit it often. Make sure your communication reflects it. Next, psychology, understanding your audience. Communication is a two-way street. Influence requires understanding how others think, feel, and react. Recognize cognitive biases at play. Appeal to emotion before you build your logical case. Leverage social proof, authority, and reciprocity. Use small commitments to build consistency. Before each important interaction, ask yourself, who am I speaking to? What do they value? What do they fear? What do they hope for? Tailor your message accordingly. Then advance speaking techniques, mastering delivery. Words alone are not enough. How you speak determines how your message lands. Control your tone, pace, and inflection. Use pauses strategically. Vary your rhythm to keep your listener engaged. Eliminate filler words so your message feels precise and confident. Weave in storytelling to create emotional connection. Make a habit of recording short speeches, even 2 or 3 minutes long. Each time, focus on improving one aspect of your delivery. Nonverbal communication is the next layer. Your body communicates constantly. Alignment between your words and your nonverbal signals builds instant credibility. Stand with authority. Use gestures that reinforce meaning. Let your facial expressions show genuine emotion. Maintain eye contact to build connection. Use space intentionally. Breathe steadily to stay calm and grounded. Practice delivering a message while watching yourself on camera. Adjust until your body language feels aligned with your intention. Then, language strategies, the tools of persuasion. Use power words to evoke emotion. Frame ideas in ways that motivate and empower. Employ rhetorical devices to make your message memorable. Ask questions that guide thought. Tell stories that illustrate your points. Keep your language simple and clear. Repeat key ideas. End with strong calls to action. Craft short, focused messages where you consciously use these tools. Over time, they will become part of how you naturally speak. Finally, practice and reflection, the path to mastery. No one becomes a powerful communicator overnight. Mastery is built through deliberate practice and honest reflection. Use everyday interactions as training. Record and evaluate your delivery whenever you can. Reflect on what worked and what didn't. Seek feedback from people you trust. Adjust and refine. Keep a simple journal of your communication experiences. Note what you tried, how people responded, and what you learned. Here are a few final insights to guide your mindset. Intentionality matters. Every word, gesture, and pause should have a reason. Communicate with purpose. Emotion drives action. People act on feeling first, logic second. Connect to the heart, then speak to the mind. Influence is ethical. The most powerful persuasion is aligned with genuine value and integrity. Presence is power. Your posture, gaze, and energy shape how people perceive you long before you speak. Consistency builds trust. Showing up again and again with clarity, confidence, and alignment creates lasting credibility. Communication is not just about speaking. It's about creating impact, influencing decisions, and inspiring change. The most effective communicators integrate psychology, language, and presence seamlessly. Take a moment to reflect. What techniques have you already begun to internalize? Which areas require daily practice? How can you align your body, voice, and language for maximum impact? How will you ensure that every important conversation reflects intention and influence? And what small daily habits will move you closer to true mastery? Mastery is a journey. Commit to consistent action, reflection, and refinement. If this audiobook has brought you value, make sure to subscribe. Your support allows us to create more content like this, helping you master communication and influence. Now let's conclude. Outro, Smart Communication Mastery. Congratulations. You've reached the end of Smart Communication Mastery. Over these chapters, you've explored the psychology behind influence, advanced speaking techniques, nonverbal mastery, persuasive language, and daily practices to transform your communication. But remember, learning alone is not enough. Mastery comes from action, reflection, and consistency. Every conversation is an opportunity to practice. Every presentation is a chance to refine. Every interaction is a stage to apply what you've learned. Think of this audiobook not as the finish line, but as the launchpad for your journey to communication excellence. The principles you now understand, confidence, clarity, presence, language, and influence, are tools. How you wield them will determine the impact you leave on every listener, every audience, and every situation you face. Here are a few final insights to carry with you. Intentionality matters. Speak deliberately with purpose and with awareness of your influence. Emotion drives action. Engage the heart first, the mind second. Presence is power. Your posture, gestures, and energy are as important as your words. Consistency creates trust. Daily practice, reflection, and refinement build credibility and mastery. Ethical influence matters. Persuasion is most powerful when it's aligned with value, integrity, and authenticity. Carry these lessons into your daily life. Speak less but impact more. Choose your words with care. Align your body with your message. Engage every audience with confidence and clarity. If this audiobook has brought you value, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. Your support allows us to continue creating content that helps you master communication, influence others, and transform your life. Take the knowledge you've gained, apply it daily, and watch your conversations, presentations, and relationships transform. The power to communicate masterfully is now in your hands. Thank you for listening. Speak with intention, lead with presence, influence with integrity, and never stop striving to master the art of communication.